Good morning, everyone. I am really excited to tell you about the intersections that I see between the cryptocurrency ecosystem and the API economy. And I really believe that this intersection is going to drive the future of monetization when it comes to the whole API economy. So I'll go ahead and jump into two aspects of that. Firstly, this allows us to really radically change the way today's models work with API monetization. First of all, we can reward people directly for adding APIs to an API network with cryptocurrency, and native cryptocurrency, as Dave was talking about, API coins, and we can remove all the existing payment friction involved in accepting cards, taking micropayments from users, and things like that. So let's jump into both of those use cases. Now, I like to think about this first aspect. We've created an API network with its own coin, and you can think about this as the opposite of the Apple model. Instead of a developer paying 30% of their revenue for the pleasure of being on the App Store, we can actually reward developers with API coins for joining an API network. And so in a sense, we're paying developers directly for the APIs that they add in proportion to how popular and how used their API is. So this is really exciting because it sort of flips the existing model on its head and rewards those that are actually creating the value in these systems. The second aspect is the fact that even today, it's really difficult to do micropayments and to really open up your API for small users because there's so much friction in the payment system. You're paying a card company, you have to collect a lot of data. This essentially removes all that friction. So I've asked our friends Alice and Bob today to walk us through an example of how this would work. So Alice has a Bitcoin to Dogecoin exchange website where people trade the different cryptocurrencies. And she has a price stream of data on what price people are exchanging those coins for. Now, Bob runs a chart website that creates these beautiful charts of all the different prices of cryptocurrency. And he wants to add Dogecoin to Bitcoin to his chart website. Unfortunately, normally that isn't really easy. One, he has to find some website that has this data. Hopefully, they have an API. If they have an API, he has to negotiate whatever their SDK and integration aspects are. He has to find some way to pay them. Maybe they have something set up. Maybe it's a free system. Maybe it's rate limited. There's a lot of friction in the system. So that's normally Bob's pain points. However, Bob's in luck because Alice has actually listed her API on the API network. So not only can Bob easily find the data he needs, has it listed in an easy-to-use format, he can immediately do the integration and use cryptocurrency in a very seamless way and pays no fees in the process. So in no time, Bob has his beautiful charts. Alice is getting paid directly by her user to monetize her API, and she ends up with API coins. Now, the really amazing thing here is this is really acting in a way where it aligns incentives. Because API providers are earning this native currency, they're essentially gaining a stake in this API network. Because the value of the coin is highly correlated to the usage of the coin. Just like Bitcoin, in order to send Bitcoin across the Bitcoin network, if I wanted to send a remittance from the developed world to the developing world, I'd have to buy Bitcoin to do that. Well, in the same sense, the coin is connected to the API network. And in order to purchase APIs, I have to buy API coins. Now, the real magic here is that this aligns the people that are building this network and adding all its value to want to hold as a store of value that coin, because as that network proliferates, the coin economics really kick in. So that's sort of the magic of the model. So the API network will be soon launching in beta, and you can check it out on the website. This is a completely open source platform. There's a nonprofit foundation that promotes its use. And the beautiful thing here is that there's no central entity trying to take a profit margin off the top. Anybody can build an API in this network. There is no permission required. There is no authorization process. People can use this freely and build whatever they want on top of it. So just walk through a couple of screenshots. Obviously, somebody wants to come in and connect to popular APIs. The API network already has Twitter and Facebook and IMAP and other things like that. And people can actually compete to provide these popular APIs. And so you have price competition. And you can really have price discovery in these aspects that you really don't have today when you have a single provider providing APIs. The other aspect is you can add your own API. It's a simple web form to go ahead and do that. Makes it very simple. List your organization, create a profile, and immediately make it available to the world. And of course, it's got all the standard outputs for developers to pull all of the data that we typically want from popular APIs. And the idea is this will really pull in a lot of niche APIs where today there isn't a big enough market, but if you offer these incentives, we think it'll let people more easily monetize the APIs they're building. So hopefully this will build a really rich ecosystem and a diversity that we don't have yet today. So to summarize, this is a completely open source platform. The goal is to reward API providers directly, to align incentives with those creating the value in the system, to remove all payment friction. You can say goodbye to paying Visa or MasterCard 3 or 4 or 5% of your revenue, or paying an app store 30% of your developer revenue. And so we hope that you'll check out the project, you'll work with the API network, and this is something that we think can really drive forward the API economy and build it faster because we can remove all those points of friction and really align people with those creating the value in the system. So anyway, I hope you'll check it out and see for yourself how cryptocurrency is going to impact this industry and a lot of other industries. Bitcoin is really much more than a currency. It's a way we can track and record immutably and by a third party all sorts of value transfer. And so that's what really gets me excited, and I'm sure you'll hear more about it. Thank you very much.